Are you thinking about your future? Most people are not. If you're not, you should be. Most people don't think of it because you think that you're invincible. The fact of the matter is, none of us are. When you're younger, you think that you just can run around and jump out of trucks and throw concrete blocks and go around with trimmers and mowers and nothing's going to happen. You're not going to lose your hearing. You're not going to lose your eyesight if you don't wear safety glasses. You're never going to get injured. People just don't think of all the things that can happen to you. And people don't realize that your retirement's going to come a lot faster than you think. Now, any of you that have been around the older generation, here's a common phrase that you will hear from them all the time. They always say, it seems like it was yesterday, right? I'm 54 years old. I now believe that everything they said is absolutely true, and you will find out as time goes on. I don't know where the time goes, but it flies. It is gone. And it just seems like you just age so quick. Like after you hit the age of about 40 years old, you're like, you wake up one morning, you're like, bam! You know, you're just like, God, my back hurts, my knees hurt, everything hurts, and you're just like, where did the years go? And it takes you all year to do nothing. I mean, it just takes forever to get anything done, right? People aren't thinking about this today. But I'm here to tell you, you better start thinking about it today. I'm talking to the younger generation now. Those of you who hear this, understand what I'm saying because I've lived it, I've done it. Listen to your elders, they know what they're talking about. Some of the things I want to talk to you about that you probably don't think about when you think about this retirement thing. And we're going to talk about things that happen, like medical issues, okay? Things that are going to happen to you that are you're going to really wish you would change the way you did things, okay? So let's just take one for example, like medical issues, okay? So let's say you're out working today, all of a sudden you develop cancer. Those of you who subscribe to my channel, I know you've heard this before, but just get the message. It's worth hearing again. Let's say that you go out and you develop cancer, or your wife develops cancer, or something like that, right? It could take and totally devastate you. I know these things. My wife became ill at one point about 17 years ago, and it just about wiped us out, right? And we had so much at stake, and we were just devastated. We just didn't know what to do, right? And it caught us off guard. So when I talk about these things, she was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with her, you know. She was in her 30s and she got sick. So, and to this day, she suffers, you know, from this. And but it was definitely something that we didn't plan on, okay? So, and that can happen, and not just her, but it can happen to you. Okay, you can come down with all kinds of things. I know for myself personally, like asthma. I had asthma when I was a baby. And then as I got older, it didn't affect me as much. But now I'm on the downward slide here, so to speak. Now it's coming back, so it's affecting me more and more. Well, what does that mean? It means it's slowing me down. I can't do the work that I used to do. Okay, so get the point of that. Parents getting old. Here's something people don't think about. Now, when we talk about, you know, are you thinking about your future here? Your parents are part of your future. They're part of you. If your parents are still around and they get old, this is something that as they age is going to affect you. You're going to find yourself, like my dad had knee surgery and us kids had to take turns over there sitting with him because he couldn't do anything. He couldn't even go to the toilet without having help. And so, and my mom, she's elderly also, so she's not able to hold dad or stop him if he were to fall. So us kids had to be there all the time. It's not something that you think about. You know, I didn't think about it, but it definitely changes your life. All right, so you got to think about that. And the reason I bring up these points to you guys is because I want you to think about each individual one of these. And at the end of this video, you're going to understand why it's so important. Okay? All right. That being said, let's talk a little bit about a divorce type situation. Let's just say that you're with your spouse right now and everything's fine and dandy. You hit on some hard times. Something happens. She divorces you, and there you're sitting by yourself, and she just takes everything you've owned. Okay? I'm sure there's lots of you out there who could tell me your story, and I'm sure you're going to leave me some comments about that, and I hope you do. I love hearing from you guys. But these are all things you should be thinking about. It may not maybe the older parents don't resonate with you right now, but maybe divorce does resonate with you. But all these things will add up in the end, so just stay watching. All right, let's talk about things like the recession. In my lifetime, I've seen it a few times. I've been through it where everything, stock markets and everything else, go up, the economy's super great, and it went right down the crapper. And there was no money to be made for years, and it took a long time to come back up, and it's just a roller coaster that keeps happening. So you need to prepare for that. You can't just say, hey, I've got a exit strategy right now that I have in place, and everything's going to go, if everything goes good and perfect, well, I'll be able to retire by the time I'm 40. That was my plan. That was going to be me. I thought, you know what, I'm going to pay my dues now, and I'm going to retire long before all my friends so that I can enjoy myself, go hunting, fishing, do whatever I want to do, right? Didn't happen that way. Plan for the unexpected, because it surely is going to happen to you. All right. Injuries. No one thinks about injuries. Again, you think you're infallible. You think you can just go and go and go and nothing's going to stop you. I was the same way until one day I was doing concrete and I was going back and forth with these bags left and right, and all of a sudden something blew out in my back and it just changed my whole life, and I've suffered with it ever since. I fell out of a tree, broke my back early on. That was my first problem. And then this happened afterwards. But it's been a steady, constant ache and pain, and I can only do half of what I used to do, and I have to stop all the time. You know, I have to rest my back. So what it means in the end is I'm just not getting as much work done. Okay? So you talk about your plan where you're going to retire at 40 and everything's going to go right. Well, look at those two things that happened to me. I fell and I broke my back, and then my back went out years later, it's never been better. You know, it's like herniated discs all the time, and it's just so much pain. Now I have sciatic nerve problems. I got all kinds of stuff going on, right? So life doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. It never does. So the more things you have in place, the better it's going to be for you, okay? So that being said, what happens if your kids get sick? I mean, have any of you guys ever thought about that? And I know I brought this up before, but I really want you to get it. You know, if your kids get sick, your life changes forever. Because now, not only will the medical bills eat you alive, but your time off of work, your wife may have to quit her job to sit and watch with those kids and be with them, sit at the hospital with them. I mean, there's so many things that can happen, you know. So it's just something else that could happen along your line, okay, along your line trying to get to that retirement age, right? Most people today depend on Social Security. I was one of those guys early on that when I found out what my parents were getting, I was like, I'm never going to let that be me. I'm not going to be that guy that depends on Social Security. And I've heard it said for years, oh, it's never going to be there, you know, by the time I retire. Well, I'm not at that age yet, but quickly approaching it. But I don't know if it's going to be there or not. I don't want to be the guy that says, oh, it's never going to be there. But I am also the guy that's not going to sit and depend on that. Okay, I've got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. So I don't worry about that. I can't control that, so I want to take that out of my equation. Right. All right. My suggestion is don't let it be you. You know, save your money now. Save everything you can, because you don't know what's around the corner tomorrow. You could be, excuse me, your wife could be in a car wreck, you could be in a car wreck, one of your kids could be in a car wreck tomorrow. You just don't know, right? So I think where I'm trying to go with this video is to get you to think outside the box. Stop looking at what's at the end of your nose and look beyond it, okay? Look at all the things that can happen to you and things that you're not thinking of that are going to affect you. What if you have brothers and sisters and they get sick, or any of those things happen to them? You may have to go help with them, which again can change your life, because now you're not going to be able to get to your goals the way you wanted to because you don't plan for these things. They just keep popping up, right? I will tell you this from the get-go. Money changes a lot. Money can't fix everything, but it sure as hell greases the wheels to help you get there, okay? So for an example, let's say my parents, okay, let's say they get to the point where they need to go in a nursing home and we don't want to put them in a nursing home. Okay, well, because of the way I've situated myself with multiple streams of revenue in my businesses, with God willing, I'll be able to provide help. I'll be able to hire someone to come in and help us with that, okay? Because I know that given our busy schedule, it's going to be difficult for us to be over there all the time too, taking care of them. So even if I move them in the house with me, I've got to find a way. Somebody's got to be there with them when I can't, right? So the only way I can do that is if we've built up some wealth, okay? So I highly encourage all of you to think along those lines. It could be right now one of your kids gets sick and they get in a car wreck or anything and they're going to be home and they're all busted up for the next year. Somebody's got to stay home with them. That means either you or your wife have to quit your job, stay home and take care of them, right? There goes half your income. Now, if you had given yourself multiple streams of revenue and you had that coming in, this could help soften that blow. You would have money in there to help pay for someone to come and help you, okay? These are the things I want to resonate with you today. I want you all to think about these things, okay? I'd love to have this bright, bubbly video for you guys, but nobody thinks of these things, and you have to think of them, and I'm trying to make you think of them. And that's why I keep repeating these over and over and over again to you, so you get it through your head, because it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when does it happen and how many of these things are going to hit you, right? All right. That being said, I talk about saving your money and investing your money. There are so many things that you can do today, especially. There's never been a better time, an easier time for you to get going on different streams of revenue, okay? You need to take and invest your money into things. Don't stick it away in a bank. It's ridiculous to put it in a bank when inflation goes up 3 to 4% every year and you get 1% interest at a bank for your money. It's ridiculous. You're losing value. You don't do that. What you do is you take that money and you invest it in other things, okay? And I don't care what business it is, or it could be a product. Maybe you develop a product you want to sell online, okay? The potato parcel, Mr. Wonderful had that, and he bought into that thing, and it sold just a ton. I forget how many millions or hundreds of millions. I think it was over $300 million worth. But there's things like that. You could do that, but, you know, that's like a fairy tale for most people, you know. For me, it was easier for me, or something in my wheelhouse was like, look, start another business. I know the lawn care. I've dabbled into landscaping. I'm going to jump into landscaping. Then I got into landscaping and then took the money from that and we got into some retail establishments. You know, we opened up a garden center and a couple of vape shops and a CBD store. So then from there we branched off of that. We went into a pest control company, and from the pest control company, the mosquito police, we branched off into franchising the mosquito police, okay? So we made another business out of that. So I think to date we have like 8 sources of revenue, 8 streams of revenue coming into our business. And because of that, we've got some financial freedom that we've gotten from that. Okay, so, and we've diversified. We didn't put all our eggs in one basket, and I don't recommend you do that either. I truly think that having them in different things is very beneficial versus building one. Say I know a guy who built, back in '08, he built a massive landscape install division. He didn't do any maintenance. He was just all 100% install. Guy made money hand over fist, right? All of a sudden, they had an auction on his place when the recession hit because nobody was landscaping. I mean, nobody. You couldn't give him away. He lost everything he had because he had blown the money he made. He didn't reinvest it into something else. They just blew it. They bought fancy office furniture, new vehicles, a new house, all this kind of stuff. He ended up losing everything, right? So don't let that be you. Diversify. Never put all your eggs in that one basket. You know, you've heard that phrase before. Put everybody in front of you. If you can take the time to just stop for a minute, it's not all about you. Life is not all about you, even though my wife thinks it's all about me, or I think that it's all about me. It's not. It should be about your kids. It should be about your parents. It should be about your wife. You should have everybody in front of you. That's tough to do. That's very tough to do. And you're a damn good person if you can do that. I strive to do those things. I'm not that way all the time. There's a lot of times it's me, me, me. I hate that. I hate that feeling when it does happen. You know, you should always strive to put everyone before yourself. It just makes for a way better life, you know. Anyway, there's a saying that came out that I love watching Shark Tank and those guys. And Mark Cuban said, he said, work your 80 hours now so you don't have to work 40 hours later. And that makes makes complete sense to me. You know, put in the time now while you can, while you're physically able to do it. You're healthy, your wife is healthy. Go like hell right now. Because down the line, you don't know what shape you're going to be in, right? And you don't want to depend on Social Security. You don't want to depend on the government to carry you through, right? So I think about all of those things. I think that starting to get different sources of revenue need to be a priority for most Americans today. I think you need to do that. Where, what did they say? Small businesses make up like 80% of the businesses out there, and you could be one of them. You know, but you've got to start thinking about those things now. All the things I mentioned earlier can most definitely happen to you. And I'll give you a prime example. Let's say that, let's just say hypothetically, let me bring this in here. Just thought of this. Would be a good thing. Whoops. Damn it. This would be a good thing to bring up. Sure. Had that set up. I did not, but I have it now. Let's say, for example, say you start, and this can be anything. You could be an ice cream shop. It could be a cigar shop. I don't care what it is, okay? But for my reference right now, let's say it's a mosquito police business. So, mosquito police, this is the first one that you get, right? Let's say at the end of the year, you're able to put $50,000 in the bank with that, right? Okay, do one of two things with this money. You can take it and spend it, or you can, this is after you've paid everybody and everything is done, and this is what you're actually putting in your bank after your taxes are done and all that. That's what goes in the bank. Now, do one of two things. You either spend that money foolishly, or you could reinvest that money. We decided to reinvest it. So what we did, we branched out on our advertising. We got another vehicle, a whole vehicle setup. We started our second mosquito police right here. And guess what that one did? It actually did more than this, but I'm just using this number, just something to get you going. Now, year two. We got done year two. We've got 100 grand now because this one continues to make money every year. So does this one. So now we're at 100 grand. If we did nothing else right now, we could make 100 grand a year and put in the bank. And in 10 years, we'd have our $1 million, right? 1 million, you got 100,000 a year, times that times 10, there's your $1 million. We didn't do that. You know what we did our third year? We added another one. For another 50K. Now, in order to get to our $1 million, what is that, like 7 years? Now we only got to work 7 years to get that. What happens this coming year, if we instead, we just constantly keep taking this money and rolling it over. Constantly rolling this money back over, right? Before you know it, now, once you get these 4 vans going, you get the picture of what's going on here. Now all of a sudden you're making $200,000 a year, right? Now you have $200,000 a year, 5 years from this point, 5 years from this point, this is where you can be, right? So, you see what I'm getting at here. If you constantly keep reinvesting your money, you're gambling on this one business. Now keep in mind we have 8 different sources of revenue streams in our business, but if you look at this business model, in 5 years you could have your $1 million, right? And it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. I'm telling you guys that right now. So the best news, the best advice I can give you guys is you have just got to want to do it. You've got to think ahead. Don't be that guy that sits back and says, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. If you do like the video, leave me your comments down below. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the little notification bell. That way you'll get alerted every time there's a new video. And thanks for watching.